Alright, so if I stutter during this, I apologize. I haven't read this story yet, and I'm just about to read it for the first time, and I'm only doing this in one take, so here we go. So this first story comes from Kesha McNeil. She's the person who actually got this commission, and she says, when I was a little kid, around 6 or 7 years old, and I stayed the night at my grandparents'. They lived in a pretty secluded area, so their property was lined with a lot of trees and not too close to any other property. So I was in the bedroom at the end of the hallway laying in bed, and I saw this woman staring in the window at me. She was an old lady, short gray hair. She was just smiling. I was super spooked, so I just hid under my blankets for a bit, and I was too scared to call out for my grandparents. So I was under there for a little while and hoping that she would leave, but I peeked out and I saw her again. I noticed she had on a yellow dress and a little brooch. I ran down the hall to get my grandparents, and my grandfather went out and walked the area around their house and didn't see anyone. I got too scared to go back into the bedroom, so me and my grandma sat on the couch and I told her what I saw. She said I described what her mom was wearing. So, okay. I described what her mom was buried in to a T. My grandma was always big on floor walkers. I think that's what they're called. But also being visited by past family members. I never met my great-grandmother, but when they showed me a picture of her, I'm 100% convinced that's who I saw. Ooh, so spooky. Alright, our next story comes from r/ghost stories on Reddit, and it's by Artificial Sonder. It is called My Haunted Apartment. Again, I'm reading this for the first time, so if I stutter, I apologize. I only have enough time to record. I don't have enough time to read through it first, and this is a bit of a long one. But everything in this post is real. I live in Detroit, and this happened to me a few years ago. I don't even like to think about it, and I know writing it out may help me set those horrific experiences free in a healthy way. After graduating from undergrad, financial strain led me to a temporary stay with my brother. While I awaited acceptance into graduate school. When I was finally admitted to the MBA program, I found an affordable apartment near Detroit, nestled amid a picturesque garden. The summer was coming to an end, and I really needed to find a place before the fall semester started. After days of searching, I finally found an apartment that fit my budget and was in a decent location. What truly drew me in, however, was its setting. Nestled amid lush greenery and surrounded by towering oak trees, the complex exuded a serene, almost enchanting allure. Okay, this is definitely written by ChatGPT. The tour showcased an underground swimming pool and a spacious shared laundry room, both connected to the apartment's cozy lobby, where tenants would go whenever they needed assistance. Adding to the charm, a vibrant flower garden flourished just outside, giving it a perfect final touch. The application process was swift, and before I knew it, I was moving into what seemed like the perfect place. It almost felt too good to be true, but after all the stress, financial strain, and misfortune I had endured, I convinced myself I deserved this moment of peace. End period. But that peace didn't last. From the moment I arrived, an oppressive heaviness settled over the apartment. At first, I dismissed it, attributing it to exhaustion from unpacking. But then came the nightmares. Every night for the first 3 nights, I had the same recurring nightmare. I found myself strapped into the same flickering hallway, the air thick with agony. On the first night, I heard the tortured wails of a man. The next night, it was identical, but instead of a man, it was a woman's cries of despair. By the third night, it was the haunting sobs of children. Each repetition grew more disturbing, the terror clinging to me long after I woke up. After the third night, I could no longer ignore the feeling of being watched, whether I was showering, eating, studying, or even sleeping. The sensation of unseen eyes bore into me. Sometimes it was so overwhelming I'd whip around expecting to see someone, but there was never anyone there. I tried to rationalize it, chalking it up to nerves, but down deep, I knew something was terribly wrong. Unlike most people, I didn't dismiss these encounters as tricks of the mind. My background in quantum physics, science, and spirituality had already led me to a chilling realization. Ghosts, as we imagined them, are not just lingering spirits of the dead. They are something far more complex. At the quantum level, we are not solid beings, but rapidly vibrating particles of energy. According to the laws of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. When we die, our bodies decay, but our energy, or what some call a soul, remains. There's even a substance called protoplasm, and some even suggest that the concentrated energy of former deceased people can harvest energy from the other sources, like especially during a full moon. Alright, I didn't expect this to be an educational program on ghosts, but slay, I guess. Depending on how much energy can be transferred, a ghost can be anything from an orb of light to a blob of moving energy or a shadow, and sometimes, if the circumstances are aligned, it can be a full-blown apparition of the physical person, the way they remember themselves to be before they died. Other times, it can use whatever energy it has to manipulate or move items, but I still do not understand why some are stronger or more ominous than others. Also, why do they do this stuff? The paranormal presence I was dealing with definitely felt angry and evil. Even when I'd tried acknowledging its presence, things would get worse. So anyways, in the apartment, I was certain I wasn't alone. I tried so hard to convince myself that it was just my wild imagination, but deep down, I knew what was really happening. I just didn't want to admit it for the sake of my own peace. What made me confirm that it was something paranormal or beyond this world was my cat. You know, cats, they have that intuition. I've got 3 cats, and they do nothing but stare at ghosts. Around the second week after moving in, his behavior took a disturbing turn. As I sat in the living room one evening, my cat meowed incessantly and stared fixedly at the empty space behind me. My cats do that too. His gaze was unblinking and intense, sending shivers down my spine. Despite my attempts to comfort him, he remained transfixed, shifting his fearful stare towards the door. Just pause for a second. In reality, despite whether this is written by ChatGPT or if it's a real story, the reason why cats do that, they just like stare off in the distance, is because cats have notoriously bad vision, and they see stuff up close really, really well. So your cat is probably just looking at dust in the air. Okay, I don't believe in ghosts. Was that obvious? Alright, I'm gonna continue. Sorry. Alright, over the next few weeks, weird phenomena escalated. Objects vanished only to reappear in bizarre locations. My cat's behavior grew erratic. One night, after a few glasses of wine, I decided to record some music in my walk-in closet. So one night after I had a few glasses of wine, I decided to record some music in my walk-in closet. Okay. I set up my microphone and studio equipment in the closet because it was very effective in blocking any nearby ambience, which helped ensure crisp, clear recordings. I'll never forget this. The recording volume captured strange, unintelligible radio broadcasts despite my Wi-Fi being turned off. Not that this would even help. As I adjusted the volume, a cabinet in the kitchen slammed shut with a force so clear my headphones that nearly deafened me. picked it up. The unmistakable noise confirmed something was definitely inside of my apartment. At this time, I had a bottle of wine inside the closet with me. I specifically remember it was almost empty and I was going to grab another bottle. Instead, I just finished what was left and placed it right next to the Scarlett interface. It's the tool I use to record from the microphone, and it is also where I adjust the volume/record settings. After hearing the cabinet shut, I opened the closet door and saw the empty wine bottle drop, as if it was mid-air and fell on the futon in my room. My heart sank because this was the very first time I was able to confirm something was messing with me. I sharply turned around to see if perhaps I foolishly left another empty bottle there, but I didn't. The empty wine bottle had definitely moved, and what scared me even more was the fact that I'm not a big drinker. Once in a while, I'll have some wine and make some music, or just have a glass while eating steak or while writing. I know I wasn't drunk or disoriented, so I quickly grabbed the empty bottle and went to the kitchen to throw it out. When I entered the kitchen, my heart dropped again. Not only did I hear a cabinet close while inside the closet, I was now staring at the wine cabinet, which was now open. This really freaked me out because I have OCD. Oh my god, me too. When it comes to stuff like that. For example, when I put away my groceries, cans, pasta, etc., I always make each item's front label face me so I don't have to scramble through them. Okay, but is that like OCD, or like, is it just for the convenience of it? Like, do you feel like you're gonna die, or like your loved ones are gonna die if you don't have them face forward? That's not the point. I'm gonna continue. Okay, for the wine, I always stored the bottles in the cabinet neatly, with the front of the bottles facing me. But when I went to close the cabinet, all 3 other bottles I had still closed were now shifted. One bottle was knocked on its side, and the other 2 had their fronts facing each other, almost as if they looked like 2 inanimate objects having a conversation. It's so weird. I remember getting so freaked out that I moved them to the lower cabinet in case they should ever somehow fall out and break. At this point, my cat, once peaceful, now spent his time hiding in corners or the closet. His eyes were dilated and his movements jerky. His meows turned into low, guttural cries. At times, he sat rigidly, staring at nothing with unnatural focus. Attempts to distract him were futile. He remained in his trance-like state. The situation worsened. My cat became unapproachable and contorted his body in unnatural ways. I captured these disturbing moments on video. Okay, where are the videos, bestie? Because I gotta see that. His body twisted at impossible angles, his back propped up as if supported by some unseen force. I feared he was possessed or afflicted by some malevolent, that's a hard word, malevolent force. Okay, but isn't that just the stance cats do when they're scared? Despite trying various protective measures and spiritual remedies, nothing elevated the disturbances. The apparitions ceased as soon as we left the apartment to visit my parents, reinforcing my belief in a dark presence. My cat's agitation and the unexplained events convinced me the apartment was indeed haunted. My cat isn't neutered, and I don't care what most people say about that because animals have only one purpose: to make offspring. That sentence gives me the ick a little bit. Humans can have sex for fun, and we can do so many other things, but for most animals, it is all they ever have. I strongly believe that anyone who neuters their cat or dog ends up with cute living stuffed animals that is alive. Okay, that's so weird because, like, cats, especially female cats, if they don't get neutered and they're just, like, living their life and they're not having babies, which they shouldn't be reproducing unless you're a breeder anyway, they can get really depressed. Like, when my cat wasn't fixed and she wasn't having babies. She was really depressed, and we did end up getting her neutered. And male cats will spray, and they can also get depressed. Anyway, that's not the point, but get your cats fixed. My cat has such a strong personality. He loves to go out and explore. I always let him out of the apartment, and he'd always be right there waiting for me when I'd leave to let him back in. Okay, so your cat's an outdoor cat. That explains a lot. I personally am against having outdoor cats, but that's a person-by-person opinion. One day he never returned, and I was very worried. It was around 4 a.m., and I saw him right outside my little porch. I lived on the second floor, and he had a shared patio on the first floor. I saw my cat having sex with an invisible entity. I was so traumatized. My cat was drooling. I've never seen that in my life. His eyes were shifted behind his head, and he was thrusting back and forth. I yelled his name, and he immediately snapped out of it. When he regained a sense of where he was, he darted straight toward me, as if he was running away from the devil himself. Okay, so this can be explained with science. Your cat's not fixed. Male cats do go into heat. When that happens, stuff like this can happen because it's not healthy for your cat to not be fixed. Alright? We're gonna continue. I have so many more stories, evidence, videos, and photos which prove something was very weird about the apartment. Sometimes I remember waking up feeling possessed. I jerk my body around. One night, I was sleepwalking. I never sleepwalk. But if you tell yourself that your apartment is weird, it'll make you do weird stuff. If you think about the fact that you're scared to have sleep paralysis, you're gonna get it. I'm sorry, I don't believe in ghosts, so... And I was standing in the kitchen, just standing there, with the faucet on, and I was literally just standing there. Another time, I got a pizza and put it on the kitchen counter after work. I put my keys on the hook and went to the bedroom to change, and came back to find the pizza missing. I was so confused that I even went back to my car to see if I forgot it. I convinced myself it was cognitive blindness. No, when I got back, super confused, my heart dropped. The pizza box was on the floor of my living room, wide open, and my car keys were somehow on top of the pizza box. How? I literally just took my keys off of the hook to unlock my car when I thought my pizza was still in there. Okay, well, you have a cat. One night, things got so bad that I woke up sweating and felt like something was pressing my chest down. My cat at the time was digging his face into me, clearly afraid of what entity he was able to see. I then heard this but weird voice say, "Here, kitty, kitty." OMFG, I didn't even pack. I grabbed my cat, my keys, my phone, my wallet, and sped my ass out of there at 3 a.m. and went to my parents' house. Eventually, I stopped sleeping there. I'd only go during the day, and whenever it was night, I'd pack my things and sleep at my parents' house with my cat. Okay, so this can be explained. Sleep paralysis. Again, sleep paralysis is something that anybody is prone to having if they are in high stress or if they think something like that is going to happen. Feeling like there's something on your chest when you wake up from sleeping is like a core symptom of sleep paralysis. So anything that has to do with like, I just woke up and XYZ happened, I call bullshit on that. So many other things happened to me and my cat while living there. I can share, but it is a lot. I also documented everything that ever happened to me because my brother is such a skeptic, and even he finally agreed that shit was just not normal. Okay, well, I'm a skeptic too, so I kind of want to see this evidence. After moving out, my cat's behavior returned to normal. The relief was immense as the dark energy seemed to lift once we left. I've recorded numerous unsettling incidents, and you can view a brief video of my cat's strange behavior here. Oh, there's a link, okay. He sees this quote-unquote entity and follows it. This was so common. He would always follow it and hop and... He would always follow it and hop and follow it some more, and then he would start freaking out. I have a lot more videos and stuff, but this is just for the sake of my post. My experience at this apartment, which I nicknamed Haunted Gardens, remains a chilling testament to the inexplicable forces that can disrupt our lives. Okay, that's really intense. I haven't watched the video yet. I'm about to watch it. I am gonna say, though, that this is just gonna be a video of a cat jumping around, probably after some dust in the air. It might have just been a particularly dusty apartment. Maybe the light came in the window a certain way and your cat was looking like trying to play with the light on the floor. I'm gonna watch the video, and I will play it on the screen as well. Okay, it's just a video of a cat. There's nothing weird about it. Your cat is just being a cat and just acting normal, jumping on the back of the couch or, like, looking on top of a shelf. Cats just do that. There's nothing, like, weird or supernatural about the way that your cat's acting. That being said, they did mention that there is other pieces of evidence, though they didn't share anything else. But if this is the best that they have, I am calling bullshit, because ain't no way that they think that's evidence of a ghost. I mean, respect to the person, great storytelling, really great writing if it was written by you and it's not like a ChatGPT generated story. And also, your cat is really adorable. You should get your cat fixed, though, because, you know, aforementioned reasons. And also your cat just might be stressed because your cat's not fixed, and that can also cause weird behavior in cats. But there is a little bit of, not an update, but there's another little blurb of something that they wrote in the comment section. Somebody commented, wild stuff, do you have any theories regarding who/what the entity was and why it was in the apartment? Always eager to try and connect the dots in situations like these. And OP commented back and said, actually I do. I found out from another tenant who I met in the lobby when trying to meet with the landlord that she was totally traumatized when she found out that her apartment was formerly leased by a tenant who was murdered. She was there to complain that her lease should be cheaper and was demanding some form of compensation. She said she was going to sue. Apparently she moved in and it was fully furnished. Normally these apartments are not furnished. I had to set all of my furniture, couches, bed, tables, etc. I don't know how, but she found out that the previous tenant was shot on the same couch she was sitting/sleeping on for several months. The worst part is that after this person was shot, their body parts were dismembered and their arms were stored inside the same freezer she was using. I was horrified that I literally stormed off and threw up right outside. She said her lawyer, due to her missing several payments, but for good reason, helped initiate an investigation, and it is unlawful to withhold that info, so I'm guessing if she went to court, she won the case. She was there officially on business to initiate a lawsuit. I wish I asked her why she was missing payments, because it apparently had a lot to do with the apartment. I mean, that's not your business. Nor is it mine, but also I'm kind of curious. But I didn't want to be rude. I'm not sure if maybe that some murderer was tied to the apartment, or if maybe it was a separate murder, but my gut feeling was seriously telling me someone had died there. Another thing that really freaked me out is in my lease contract, it had a clause saying that if a tenant were to ever die, the landlord becomes the owner of all the deceased person's items, including furniture, heirlooms, and other stuff. I don't think that that's possible. I don't think that's legal. Also super weird. This place looked like a slice of heaven, and whenever I fast forward to my final days, it genuinely felt like I was escaping hell. God knows what happened at their place. Okay, so I'm gonna need all the videos that you took. I'm gonna need the location for the apartment because I need to check it out myself, and I'm gonna need news reports about this alleged murder that happened in this lady's unit because I don't believe any of this. And I think if you do believe it, crazy business, because it clearly is made up. But also, good storytelling. Good job on the storytelling. Big fan of that. I wish I had chose a different story for this video, if I'm being completely honest. Next time I make a video like this, I'm gonna read the story before I read it here. But regardless, thank you for listening, and thank you for watching, and I will hopefully have another video up in a couple of days. See ya!